Hey, Jennifer.
Hello.
How are you?
Extreme. Well, okay. I'm not hot right now because I'm inside of my air conditioning, but oh my gosh, is it horrible outside?
It's ridiculous. It's like too hot to exist right now.
Yes.
It's just too much.
Yes.
It's just too much. And my air conditioner keeps tripping the circuit breaker, and so it'll be blowing, and then we realize it's just recirculating the hot air like
Uh,
around the house,
yeah.
and we're just getting hotter and hotter. And I work from home, and it's just I'm done.
Yeah.
I am
Ours
not
is doing
set
fine.
for this.
It's just that I don't think that I don't know if the air conditioner wasn't sized properly for the house, but the upstairs
Yeah.
just it's always hotter or colder depending upon the season than the rest of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and right now it is quite warm. So like last
Yeah.
night, my 17-year-old slept in the basement because he's like, I'm not putting up with this.
I don't blame him. I woke up, I don't know what time it was, and I just could not get back to sleep. And it took me a while to figure out I can't because I'm hot. Like
Yeah.
that is why I just
Hmm.
laid there for a while. Like, why can't I go back to sleep? Oh, because I'm really, really hot.
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyways, well, it's good to see you. I know that we've been doing a lot of work locally, but also we've been helping our very good friend plan her wedding, which we're super
Yes.
excited about, including a day
Hmm.
of dress shopping a couple of days ago, which was so much fun. It was so much fun.
It was the best.
Yeah,
One of my possibly one of my favorite memories ever now. Just
yeah.
it was so awesome.
I know. I know. We can't give it away, but when we saw her in the dress that she picked, everyone that
Yeah.
came with her just gasped.
Like we
Um,
literally just oh my gosh. Yeah, it was amazing.
it was so cool. It was so cool. And so today we wanted to talk about like what we're calling the art of disruption, right? So we have like
Hmm.
these big protests, that are disruptors, of course. We have elections, of course. So we have all the like behind the scenes work at organizing and all of that. And then there's this thing that's also part of organizing, part of building coalitions, part of just like shifting that Overton window ever so slightly over and
Yeah.
over again, which is
Hmm.
like just being in a place of like realizing our freedoms to disrupt the norms
Yeah.
of what's going on in any given moment, and like noticing how making those disruptions can really shift the dialogue in the moment, or the space, or the even the like ideas in the community.
Hmm.
What examples are in your mind of disruption?
Okay. So this is not a political one.
Okay, good.
But remember the other night when we were out with our friends? So we took our friend dress shopping, and then Sarah and her spouse, and me and my spouse, and then our friend and her
I know what you're
fiance,
gonna say.
who is also a really good friend of ours. Like
Yeah,
we hang out with him all the time, but he's
yeah,
a little bit of a newer addition to the group per se. Like I think he feels a little bit, like he's the guy in the group, and he's got to tread carefully. And he was trying to tell this story, and we were just giving him crap and giving Elena crap, and just like back and forth. And finally he's like, listen, I'm trying to power through this, you assholes. And like, if you knew him, he does not swear at us, he does not call us names, and he was just kind of joking, but also like, damn it, let me talk. And so that was really,
I
like, first of
remember.
all, okay,
So
we
funny.
laughed our asses off because it was hilarious that he did
Yeah.
that. And then we listened to him.
Totally like disrupted the conversation, right? To
Yes.
the point where we're like, okay, fine. Like, we'll go ahead and let you finish.
So that is an
Oh,
example
poor
of
guy.
disruption. Maybe not the one I suggest for everybody to do,
No, it has to
but
have the
it
right
got our
template.
attention.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and those kinds of disruptions, it's just so interesting to me from like a sociology, I guess, perspective about how humans go about their lives and interact with each other, like guided by these rules that we just like learn as humans, growing up in society. But there's nothing like legal about them or like permanent
Yeah.
about them, and we are allowed to like shift those things and apply a
Hmm.
little bit of disruption in places to help people think differently or realize that there are people that are in the spaces that are hold different perspectives and things like that. And one of my favorite ones of those, right, aside from like a protest or a traditional like rally, which of course is in and
Mm-hmm.
of itself a disruption, is the red and green cards. Do you remember those red and green cards?
I wasn't part of Woman
Oh,
then. I for sure know the
okay.
story. Like I've heard the stories, but I wasn't there
Oh
for
my gosh,
that.
this is one of my most favorite, right? So they're just red and green half sheets of paper. And we didn't invent this, right? The Women of Michigan Action Network didn't invent this disruption, but it was kind of going on in other spaces. This was right after the 2016 election, and we had been really pressuring our Congressman John Molinar to have um, a town hall, and he wouldn't, and he wouldn't, and he wouldn't. And then finally, we actually used the media, a bunch of disruption techniques there to really make him agree to finally do it. And when he did it, we all went in. We had a big old crowd there, and we each had a red card and a green card. And they're just like literally like, I think I said like half sheets of paper. And so whenever Congressman Molinar said something we liked, we held up the green card. And when he said something we didn't like, which was most of the time, we held
Yeah.
up the red card. And it was just a very silent, like, this is
Mm-hmm.
not, you're not jiving with your constituents in this room,
Yeah.
Molinar. Like, and they couldn't do anything about it because as American citizens, we have the right to sit in whatever public seat we
Mm-hmm.
want and hold up whatever piece of paper we desire. But it was a form of disruption, and the visual of in the space, and then later in pictures and things like that in the media of Congressman Molinar being up front, all of us holding up a red card, and everyone knowing what that meant,
Mm-hmm.
was a real just like great moment for our work, and really helped to like amplify what we were doing and to show people in the room, and then later who were reading about it or seeing the pictures of the news stories about it, oh wow, there was a bunch of folks in this space that were not happy with what he was
Yeah.
saying, different than like yelling at him or whatever, just like silently holding up like, I have every right to hold
Mm-hmm.
this red piece of paper, and
Yeah.
sit in this seat. So it's one of my favorites, examples of disruption that really like did its job.
Yeah. And we recently had, so our state house representative is Bill G. Schuette Jr. Um, and he had a town hall with, I think, Roger Hauk, who is the state senate for part of Midland County, but not the city of Midland. Um, and they did a town hall. And at first, we're like, okay, so we were organizing people to go. We were coming up with questions for them to ask. And then we found out all the questions had to be submitted ahead of time. So we did, we got some people to submit them, but, they're just going to pick the questions that they want to answer. And which is, when they do those controlled things, they're scared.
Yeah.
Because I've been
Yeah.
to a lot of things with Krista McDonald Rivet when she was a state senator and when she was and since she's been a congresswoman, she does not do that. Now, I'm not saying that she won't ever, but
Yeah.
most of the things that I have been to have been, you with your hand in the air,
Yeah.
ask me a question, because she's
Right.
not scared to answer questions. But anyway, so they had I was not at this event. I had people that were literally FaceTiming it for me because I had other things going on that night. So I was just kind of watching the live feed. But he'd ask the question, or he'd answer the questions that he selected that he wanted to. And I was told the room was about 50-50, Republicans, Democrats, and the Democrats would just give him hell. Just boo, or, what? That's not a real answer. What are you doing? Like just give him heck. And I guess his face was just like, he was scared shitless. He
Yeah.
did not know
Out of
how to
here.
handle this
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
And now he's doing another one, and it's on Zoom,
I know
because
it's
he
on
doesn't
Zoom,
want to
so
do it in
people can be
person.
muted, and so
Yep.
the questions can be completely vetted in advance. And I remember John
Everything's
Molinar
vetted.
doing that
There's
stuff.
nothing. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no feedback. There's
Yeah.
no retribution. It's like it's all just sterile and whatever.
Yeah, I know. I remember Molinar when he was our congressman doing that, and they were these like teletown halls, and you
Mm-hmm.
could submit questions, but there's no way you're going to get a question that was anything critical and or tough. Like they were all the questions are softball questions. They were basically like, well, Congressman Molinar, like, you're so awesome. I just really want to know, how do you stay so awesome? Like, it was just like softball questions, and I mean, the point of this, the disruption is like, using the tools you have around you, like the media, like understanding how to get volunteers to like fill a space, like knowing what's coming up in a public meeting and just being really organized around how do you respond to that, and just recognizing like what your rights are, versus what the norms are. And if you in
Mm-hmm.
disruption is doing something that is contrary to the norms that folks expect, but totally legal. Like there's
Yes.
totally no reason why, in a space other than like decorum, I guess, in a space
Yeah.
that is supposed to be a town hall, and your person who's supposed to represent you says something wild that you disagree with, that you don't get to say, hey, boo, like I
Mm-hmm.
don't agree with that. And if
Yeah.
you're going to be a public figure, then you better have pretty thick skin in
You
order
gotta
to
learn to
face
deal
that
with it.
kind of stuff. Yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
that's coming.
Yeah. And there's like a lot of examples. I know we're short on time. Sarah has other stuff she has to go to. We
Work
have busy
stuff. Yeah.
schedules, work stuff. But anyway, so I'll try to like fire some things off while I'm thinking of them. Having a sign in your yard, that's a disruption. People know that you feel a different way than maybe they do. Or, oh my gosh, look at that person. They feel the same way I do. Bumper stickers, t-shirts, things that say how you feel. Those are disruptions. One of my favorite disruption, and why didn't I think of this? When we had the Michigan redistricting,
That's a great
we
one.
had an opportunity as citizens to go say what we thought our districts should look like, based on like what our communities were. And we were advocating for the Tri-Cities to be together because they're cities and they have similar things, and et cetera, et cetera. We had a whole huge list because we organized, we made a list, we figured out all the ways to do it, whether it was sending in written recommendations or going to all of the events. We went to every single one of the town halls that we could
All
that were
over the
either
state.
in our area. And we even went to Detroit, that's
Yep.
2 hours away. And we would get up and speak, and like, okay, so by the end of it, they knew me by name, which maybe was not the best thing in the world, but I always brought new people, so they got to see new people all the time. But yeah, just that was a huge disruption because the Republicans were like, it's just going to go our way. We're a Republican county. It'll be fine. They were unprepared for the amount of disruption that we brought to that process in a perfectly acceptable way. We did nothing inappropriate, but we disrupted the status quo that they thought was going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, the Republicans have just as much leeway and ability to do all that organizing too, to have done that with redistricting. We were talking about the rally that happened a week and a half ago, and we have the power of the people in our community to pull off a rally like that with 2,000 people, and there's just no way that the excitement and the momentum is there with the Republican Party to get anywhere close to that. So we're not doing anything that's not fair at all. We're just better at these kinds of things through trial and error. I mean, we've had to be very scrappy locally, which anyone who's looking to build blue power in a historically red community, it's got to be scrappy.
And not afraid to get out there and get a little dirty. You might have people yell at you. You might have people not be happy with you. We're in a little bit of a disruption right here in our own party, which I'm not going to go into a ton because we've already talked about it before, the whole drag queens at our protests. We're dealing with that right now, where we created something that felt disruptive to some of our members. And now we have to navigate that situation.
Yep. Yeah. And the common denominator, right? Well, I think being scrappy, we've also benefited from like we have been so historically like underrepresented here in Midland that we had to make it up as we went along, and we weren't like burdened down by the way things should be because there was
Yeah,
no should in our space. We just did
you
what
get
made sense
creative.
to us.
Mm-hmm.
um, but the common denominator in a lot of this is organizing, right?
Yeah.
Like is if you're a local organizer, you're someone that's trying to build this blue power, you think you can like have momentum and make some shifts to start winning in your area, for the Democrats and the liberals and the progressives or whomever, then organizing is the key. One person, even one really loud person, is not going to
Mm-hmm.
make a difference, but
Yeah.
being able to like put out a call and say we need 50 people to show up to this town hall.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to answer a question, but we really do want you to voice your opinion
Mm-hmm.
about what's said, and knowing that 50 people will show up,
Mm-hmm.
that's what you want to try to get to. And it's, it's interesting, it's like cyclical, it's like disruption gets us more people, and more people get us more ability to do the disruption and just start to become more and more relevant in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be willing, like you said, to be out there, to get a little
Yeah.
dirty, to be a little uncomfortable. Being a disruptor is uncomfortable. It's
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable to sit in that seat and hold up that red piece of paper,
Yeah.
knowing that this is not normal. Like this is,
Mm-hmm.
there's a security guard in the corner over there, does not like the fact that I'm holding this piece of paper above my head, but I have every right to do it. And so I'm going to push
Mm-hmm.
through that discomfort. And doing that with more and more people, just build your movement. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And like we've seen that a little bit, and I forget names of the women who have done it. There have been two women in specifically, and I'm sure there have been more. We just haven't heard their names. One in Idaho, and I forget where the other one was. I think maybe upstate New York,
Mm-hmm.
that got dragged out and arrested for not being quiet
That's right. Yeah.
during a town hall and just being disruptive. And I'm not telling people to go get arrested. You're welcome to, because it makes the news and it's
Yeah.
not a bad thing. But I'm not saying that that's what you should do. But I'm just saying we all have to be ready to do what we're willing to do and not be too afraid of it. Find creative ways. That we've talked about a few things, but there are lots of different ways to really. You can be a quiet disruptor. You can have a sit-in. There's all sorts of ways to be disruptive.
Yeah. And pushing and organizing and pushing through
Mm-hmm.
that discomfort, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
the whole point. Is a disruption is uncomfortable. If it were comfortable, it wouldn't be a disruption.
Yeah.
So pushing through that, for sure. And that can be a very powerful tactic when it comes to local organizing. Um,
Yeah.
awesome. Quick question. I have a quick question. Maybe I've already asked this question. But how do you like your eggs?
We did do that one.
Oh,
We
dang
did that
it.
one right around Easter time.
Okay. Well, what's your question?
I don't remember now.
Oh,
I'm so terrible. And I know you have to go. I asked you about sports, and we know that's not. Oh, I know. What's your favorite fantasy trilogy? I know this answer.
the answer to that one. It's the Lord of the Rings, of course.
Yes.
Is there
Yes.
any other answer?
I guess
What's
that's
your
probably
answer?
mine too. If we're talking movies, maybe not books, because I've read a bazillion fantasy
Oh,
books.
I think we're talking
Um,
movies.
but of course, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So
Okay.
if we're talking fandoms, I'm more of a Star Wars fandom than a Lord of the Rings.
Okay. Okay. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Well, I do have to go to another meeting. It's good to talk to you, Jennifer. And we'll be back soon. All
All
right.
right, see you later.
Bye.